At first glance, this looks like something out of a post-apocalyptic movie. Broken concrete, graffiti everywhere, trees growing through what used to be a frozen racetrack. But this isn't a movie set. This is one of the most haunting Olympic sites in the world, and it tells a story that goes far beyond sports. Right above the city of Sarajevo on the slopes of Mount Trebević sits this abandoned bobsleigh and luge track from the 1984 Winter Olympics. Sarajevo was once at the center of the world, welcoming athletes from dozens of countries during the Cold War. The mountain wasn't just scenery, it was part of the Olympic dream. And today you can still walk the exact curves where Olympic athletes once flew down at highway speeds. Sarajevo being chosen to host the Olympics in 1984 was a really big deal. At the time, Yugoslavia was a socialist country, but not part of the Soviet Union. It positioned itself as a bridge between East and West. Awarding the Olympics to Sarajevo was seen as a symbol of openness, cooperation, and unity. For many people in Yugoslavia, this wasn't just about sports. It was about proving that their country belonged on the global stage. So the government poured resources into building world-class venues, ski jumps, arenas, hotels, and of course, this luge and bobsleigh track. Construction began in 1981. This wasn't just a slab of concrete in the forest. This was a highly technical structure designed to meet strict international standards. The curves had to be perfect, the angles had to be precise. During the 1984 Winter Olympics, this mountain was alive. Spectators lined the track, flags waved, cameras rolled, athletes trained for years just for a few minutes on this course. People who lived in Sarajevo still talk about the Olympics with pride. The city was full, hotels were packed, the world was watching. For many locals, this was one of the happiest periods in the city's modern history. It's important to really sit with that contrast, because what came next makes this place feel even heavier. Less than a decade later, Yugoslavia began to collapse. National tensions rose, Bosnia and Herzegovina declared independence, and in 1992, Sarajevo became the longest besieged capital city in modern history. Mount Trebević, where this track is located, became a strategic military position. This Olympic track, designed for speed and sport, was now used for war. International competitions never returned. Slowly, the track was abandoned. Rain, snow, freeze-thaw cycles, nature began to crack it apart. What you're seeing today is decades of neglect layered on top of history. At some point, something unexpected happened. Artists started coming here. Graffiti crews, street artists, photographers, urban explorers. The track became a massive open-air art gallery. Bright colors now cover war scars. In a strange way, it's become a place of expression instead of destruction. Some people see the graffiti as vandalism, others see it as the track getting a second life. Walking this track is surreal. You're following Olympic curves, standing where athletes once stood, looking over a city that survived unimaginable hardship. It doesn't feel abandoned in a normal way. It feels like the past is still very close here. You're not just visiting a ruin, you're stepping into multiple chapters of history at once. Places like this remind you that history isn't clean. This track represents hope, pride, war, loss, and now creativity and remembrance. Very few Olympic venues in the world tell a story this dramatic. This isn't just an abandoned sports site. It's a reminder of how quickly a place and a country can change. From Olympic glory to war zone to street art landmark, this track has lived many lives, and standing here today, you're walking through all of them. After walking a place like that, it's impossible not to think about the city below, because Sarajevo isn't frozen in the 1990s. This isn't just a city defined by war. Sarajevo today is alive, and understanding what the city is like now makes places like the Olympic track even more powerful. When you arrive in Sarajevo today, one of the first things you notice is everything is normal. People rushing to work, students hanging out at cafes, trams rolling through the city. On the surface, it feels like any other European city. What really defines Sarajevo today isn't just its history. It's the people, it's the warmth and humor and resilience. Life is slower here in a good way. It feels like a city that understands how fragile normal life can be and doesn't take it for granted. Sarajevo is often called a place where East meets West. It's just a few minutes of walking you can pass a mosque, an Orthodox church. Few cities have that kind of religious and cultural mix so close together. This blend shapes everything. The food, the architecture. So when you walk this track, you're not just walking through the past, you're standing above a city that survived and kept going. And thanks for watching. If you liked what you watched and learned, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time. Bye.